This episode is brought to you by HP. Whenever you do your best thinking, the HP Spectre X360 is ready when inspiration strikes. With power save for battery life and focus mode to multitask, you can do your best thinking whenever and wherever it happens. The HP Spectre X360 2-in-1 convertible PC with Windows 10 saves battery life for whenever an idea hits you. HP Spectre X360, a more thoughtful laptop.
Welcome to The Watching Dead, the officially unofficial podcast for The Walking Dead on AMC. I'm Jim.
I'm Aaron.
And today we're talking Season 11, Episode 4, titled something? I don't know, Rendition? Yeah. Except we're doing the feedback episode. This is the one where you guys get to talk about it. We get to respond. So, Aaron, do we have any feedback this week?
Yeah, I've extraordinarily rendered some feedbacks from my mailbag onto my Google Doc. And we can just get right to it. I don't think I have anything else to say for, as a preamble. So let's get it on. Bob from the UK says the thing that jumped out at me from this episode was that there are at least two separate guardrails which snap cleanly from minimal pressure. Of course, this is the previous episode. Mm-hmm. The first being the Hidden Reaper, which Maggie tossed over to the side. The second being some rando walker meeting the same fate. Surprised no one else pointed this out in feedback. Looks like someone had hacksawed through the rails to the last millimeter. Yeah, they did the Get Shorty plan.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what 10 years of a zombie apocalypse does to a guardrail, but, post-apocalyptic POSHA needs to get all over these guys' ass, man.
Maybe it was Reg. Is Reg to blame? Did he cold roll these railings? What?
Oh, man. Yeah, and I heard that the Whispers threw a rave in this stairwell? They threw a rove at the stairwell, and it just fucked up the metal. It's gone. It's gone. Can't hold up to nothing.
Yeah, you can't put MDMA onto a stairwell railing. It eats away. It's 10 years and it's done.
I would think doing MDMA amongst the Whisperers would be like the definition of a bad trip.
Yeah, there is no good trip in that scenario.
No, I don't know how you're supposed to hold your zombie frame, when everything's 24 karat sparkle rainbows. Anyway, thanks for noticing. We'll send them some kind of OSHA fine. Steve B, with regard to stealth zombies, the prevalence in this universe, he goes, I think all the shooting survivors have done means their hearing is pretty much shot, so they just don't hear the walkers.
Oh, that's actually a good point. I remember that shotgun scene with Herschel way back in season 2, and it's just gotten worse.
Yeah, like they should pipe into every scene just a and then then the stealth zombies make sense.
Is it tinnitus? Is that how you say that word?
Tinnitus, I thought.
Tinnitus?
But I don't. Tinnitus? Ooh,
I
that
don't
sounds like a Marvel Phase 4 villain. It's going to come clean up the whole galaxy. It's going to rob half the galaxy of their hearing. Tom Booth. I just finished your coverage of the last episode of season 10. I haven't yet figured out how I'm going to watch season 11, but I wanted to weigh in while it's still fresh. Well, presumably, you can buy the whole season on Amazon. It's between $20 and $30. If you got AMC, if you got cable, you got cable. But if you also have cable, you've got the free AMC Plus app. You can watch you can watch it there as well. I'm not sure about any other places. Or you wait until I'm pretty sure this season will. I wonder how they'll do this. Will this season drop on like Netflix and Hulu and all the other places when we get to season 11B? Or will it drop on season 11C? I'm not sure, because my current understanding is that we're going to get this in 3 8-episode chunks. And if that's the case, man, you might be waiting until 2023 before this stuff comes to the stuff. In which case, hey, it's not like our Our feeds will be canceled and destroyed, or will they? You don't know what happens in 2023.
It might be different this year, given that the show's going off the air. I don't know, because normally when I see Netflix get this show, it gets it like a couple of weeks before the next year's season starts.
Drops.
Right.
Yeah.
So when a new season isn't going to drop, what do they do with this? Do they hoard it for AMC Plus? And so you got to be a subscriber now to ever see Walking Dead?
Ooh.
Do they license it out? Oh
God, to get the thrilling conclusion.
Do they license it out early and be like, hey, well, it's still in the media, and because we're not going to get another cycle of this, let's just get it out there and start watching on these services. I don't know. It's different, I think, that now that the show is going off the air.
So there's some options, but like I said, if you're not willing to pony up either for cable or the episodes themselves, it might be a bit of a drought, like Jim was outlining.
Yeah.
Anyway, he says, you may recall that I last wrote in at the season 9 with my ode to Tara and her four tier character assignments. You know, you had first tier guys like Rick and Michonne. You had second tier people like I think Gabriel was a tier 1 or tier 2, or anyway, it goes on down.
Mm-hmm.
My overall impression of season 10 is very similar in quality to 9 and fucking John Steinbeck compared to 7 and 8. However, there's a disturbing growing trend on the show that creates zero desire in me to watch season 10 ever again. They're simply too afraid to kill any more protagonists than the absolute minimum required per season, which is the exact opposite reputation that Walking Dead once boasted. You put 7 or 8 beloved characters in an impossible cave walker situation, have the cave fucking collapse on 2 of them, they're fine. Everyone's fine. Have our first legitimate all-out battle episode where the Whisperers attack the hilltop, everyone's fine except for the old blacksmith who got bit off screen. You didn't see it, but that happened. Other than that, let me be clear, everyone's fine. Yeah, everyone's fine. Have another battle at the end of the season with a big lead up and every prominent or semi-prominent character present, just letting you know they're going to be fine. Everyone is fine. What the hell has happened here? Has Kang somehow even softer than Gimple? Granted, all 4 major Whisperers from the season all died, but even CW shows kill villains every season. This leads me to 2 questions. What is it about us fans that we are so bloodthirsty for protagonist deaths? Is it because we feel the need for consequences in our fiction? It's because happy endings for everyone make us queasy? It's because we have some sickening bloodlust. Why do I care about this so much?
I think it's because I hate all the characters. That's why I want to see them die. But I don't know. I can't really speak for you. I think part of it is, look, it's a zombie apocalypse. It's supposed to be dangerous. People are supposed to be dying. If they don't see that, it doesn't feel right.
Yeah, it's a genre. It's a horror genre. Mm-hmm. People should be dying and miserable, you know?
Yeah.
Because I don't know. I think of late it's become chic to kill off big characters, and I'm talking about, you know, stuff like, you know, The Expanse does this, The Boys does this, Game of Thrones kind of probably got this all started because it was a real shakeup. You know, imagine Breaking Bad and you get into the season 1 and Walter White just gets blown away at the end of that season. And now it's Walt Jr. and Jesse's story.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you don't expect it, right? Because, like, you know, we even talked about how effective Breaking Bad was at building tension, even though you knew Walter White wasn't going to die. But what if you didn't? Holy shit. If you didn't know if the major characters had everything is so much more tense, you know, you're on pins and needles about the stuff. Because that's the thing is, like, even late season The Expanse, like, whenever the main characters are in danger, it even paid off beautifully this last season. Anytime the main character's in danger, you've got that kind of little, you know, like, oh my God, is this the last I'm going to see of Amos or Holden or Naomi or whatever? And I like that. But I think it's just because it subverts our expectations. All my life, with very rare exceptions, the good guys always win.
Yeah.
You know, they're never going to, unless it's the establishing thing that forms the hero's trauma. Their daughters are never going to be killed. Their sons are going to be fine. Their wives are going to, you know, and this kind of subversion is interesting. But you hit a point now you feel like you're bloodthirsty because the show it got you to expect that, you know, this tension is going to be there, and it really hasn't been, not for a long time. And if you've read the comics, then there hasn't been tension for a really long time. So
Yeah, it's strange to me that they eliminate so many characters from the show without actually killing them too, like Rick and Michonne. They're gone. They're not in the show. They did this with Maggie too, but they're not dead. It's like they're leaving the door open for something, and I guess in Rick's case, they're leaving the door open for a series of movies, perhaps.
Yeah.
Michonne, I don't know what the fuck they're leaving the door open on that one for.
Is it just be like in the movie?
Judith,
for sure.
They don't want Judith to not have any parents? Like, what? Because they're probably going to kill Rick.
It's going to be Grimes, The Walking Dead Grimes, second colon, The Search for Judith. And it's going to be, Search for Michonne. And then they'll team up in the second movie for Search for Judith. And then, of course, The Return of the Jedi is The Search for the RJ.
Okay.
So you've got it. I don't know where the Ewoks fit in and all that, but no, if they think there's just more money to be squeezed out of a character than killing them off, they'll definitely do that. And I don't know. They might have miscalculated because I don't know who the hell after you get done, and I don't know, unless there's just a barn burning ending to this Walking Dead, I don't see who comes back and's like, you know what, I wanted to see what happened with Andrew Lincoln. In a way that would justify many, many more movies. Now, I don't know. Maybe the thing is like they might do the Paramount Star Trek method where those movies were made cheap, reused sets,
really,
reused uniforms,
the latest ones.
Oh yeah, especially the latest ones. Like, I mean, they obviously built a new set for the First Contact. But, they're using, like, in Generations especially, I mean, that's just literally just reused Next Generation props and Deep Space Nine uniforms and stuff like that. And
I see what you're saying. Using the stuff from the show. Yeah.
So and those movies are kind of shockingly cheap if you look up their production budget. So The Walking Dead, if I had to guess, from AMC Studios, is going to be that this is going to be some kind of cheap thing, but I don't know.
So all of our survivors from Alexandria are going to go to the Commonwealth, and then Rick's going to come back to Alexandria and just be alone there and not know where his friends and family went. That's the search for Michonne.
But
it'll all take place from Alexandria. He'll just be on the radio for an hour and a half.
Yep. And he's going to find a cell phone with a carving of Rick and Judith on it, and that's going to be. It's going to be broken in half, and he's going to go out to the coast, and he's going to hold that broken piece of cell phone out, and it's going to match up with a series of rocks.
He's going to steal the Declaration of Independence.
He is from One-Eyed Willie. He's been holding it for all these years. All right, we got lost in the weeds here, Tom. I'm sorry. You've been sitting here patiently. Your second question: suppose Kang had gone hard the other way, and was just brutal with the deaths this season. Is this a better show if Tier 2 Jerry gets devoured by walkers in a claustrophobic cave while Tier 2 Connie dies from the collapse? Is it a better show if the attack on Hilltop shows Tier 3 Yumiko and Tier 1 Rosita dying in combat with little fanfare? Is it a better show if Tier 1 Gabriel is actually killed in the finale battle and Tier 1.5 Maggie just misses him and we find out later one of Jerry's Tier 4 kids was killed? There's such a far cry from that show at this point, even with last season's heads on spikes. It's hard to imagine what kind of show that would be. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, the heads on spikes was big. We lost.
I thought that was appropriately. That felt like shit. Anyone could die, and I think we mentioned this at the time. Yeah, the finale, the Walker battle felt a little anticlimactic. I think you're going way bloodthirsty. Like you're leaving the cupboards bare for next season as far as telling a story with characters.
That's the scary part.
But I like one or two of these things. Like, I think one of the two, Jerry or Connie, probably should have died.
Yes.
And that near, you can't fake us out twice in one.
Preferably.
Mad, but she's like Tier 3. Like, Jerry would hurt more. So,
sure.
And Connie is Tier 2 because of her relationship with Daryl. And since she's got a relationship with the main character, we found out more about her and we like her more. So, like, one of those two would have been nice. I felt like a psychopath. I felt like the Gabriel one was a rip. I felt like that should have, but yeah, there again, either Rosita or Gabriel probably should have died. Because then you feel like the community survived by the skin of the teeth. And even if they did an equally shitty job of talking about or telling about the destruction of Alexandria, it just flows better if you know, like it's the devastation's reflected in the cast, not just in the background facades of buildings.
Oh, but the locations are characters in their minds.
It's true.
The hilltop
everyone
had a personality.
Everyone says the biggest character in The Walking Dead's Oceanside. Sure, yeah. Oh yeah. So yeah, I think it's a good balance, because unfortunately the Gimple era left us with not a lot of great new characters that were fully developed. So if you got rid of and you already got rid of Rick, you already got rid of Michonne, that's a lot of T1 right there. Mm-hmm. You could get yourself in a situation where next season's literally who's the leader? Boston Rob and Maggie? Like, okay, well, I like Maggie, she's coming, but it gets to be a problem, I think. Next up is Kyle. I'm a little late on the episode, but the Archeron Part 2 episode, you mentioned Daryl having his backpack, including carrying a heavy mace. Well, to those who have played D&D, Daryl must have found a bag of holding as adventures with dog. It's an extra dimensional plane of holding. You reach in the bag, think of what you want, boom, it's in your hand. Bag can hold a massive amounts and appears empty. It's the only reasonable explanation. Can you? Yeah, I guess. Can you just sling a bag of holding over your? I feel like if you hold it upside down, I guess you said it appears empty though. So I'm trying to think of if you held down. I guess, isn't that in Harry Potter? Hermione's got one of those purses, and if she holds it upside down and shakes it, a bunch of shit falls out. I felt like. But anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it could be, or they could just an REI. They got like backpack weights, so you can test it out at the store. Just chuck a 5 or 10 pound. It's not much. I don't want Norman Reedus blowing his spinal column out, but just a coffee ground can full of Folgers, something to let the man know that he can't just be slinging this around. Anyway, especially you imagine having a giant fucking mace. This ball and spike thing, and you just flip it on and throw it, and it just like crashes into your middle of your back.
That's Christ. What the vest is for. It's spike protection.
It's got extra mace protection woven into the angel wings. Okay, moving on to Karen from Los Angeles. I'm really glad I never unsubscribed, because I wouldn't have known you're podcasting again. I shamefully listen to 5 Walking Dead podcasts, and I love your podcast the most. Well, that's that's high praise. I think that's all of them now that you're listening to.
Yeah, all that are left.
Yeah. But yeah, if you're, I'm glad you were never unfollowed the podcast. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I guess the best way to keep up with this is either the website, baldmove.com, or Twitter @baldmove. We usually, and the other thing is, this is a new feature since we've been kind of like since we swore off The Walking Dead and we've relapsed. We now have 2 feeds, Bald Move Pulp and Bald Move Prestige, that all of our podcasts, other than the premium stuff, get sorted into. So like Prestige, think like Mad Men, Breaking Bad, fucking The Irishman, so stuff like that. Sure. And Pulp is zombies, aliens, spaceships, ray guns, lightsabers, dragons, magic, things of that nature, superheroes. So I imagine a lot of the Watching Dead fans might be fans of Bald Move Pulp. You can check it out. Aaron, I just want to comment that the episodes that don't include Daryl, rather, aren't as great, mainly because I get to hear your awesome impersonation on the podcast. The thing is, I was tempted to do a Daryl, but I'm like, I learned with Rick, it's too much of a good thing. It's like you like cinnamon, and you want to hate cinnamon, dump a shit ton of cinnamon in the next dish you like, you just gotta, I just won't do it. I won't do it. Almost did it just then, but I'm not going to. Let's take a quick break before we consider the next email.
This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Football is back, and the best bet you can make is downloading the FanDuel Sportsbook app. It doesn't matter if you're new to gambling or an old pro, FanDuel has something for everyone. And as an official sports betting partner of the NFL, you know your bets are safe. There's also never been a better time to use FanDuel, because right now, you'll get up to $1,000 back if your first bet doesn't win. You can even turn a small wager into a big payday with a same-game parlay bet. Just sign up with the promo code Spotify to place your first bet risk-free on FanDuel Sportsbook. Download FanDuel today. 21 plus and present in Virginia. First online real money wager only. Refund issued as non-withdrawable site credit that expires in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
People, are your loins feeling like an old, dusty, abandoned cabin in rural Georgia? What if I told you that you could have your loins feeling like an old, dusty, abandoned cabin in rural Georgia being currently used as an initiation rite for a post-apocalyptic religious cult mercenary group?
I think that tracks. So you're saying their loins are going to be transformed into a fiery inferno of passion, yeah?
Precisely.
Okay, a bit of a tortured metaphor there, but...
It's a waterboarded metaphor at best.
Okay then, the point is, if you've been bothered by performance problems in the bedroom, Roman can get you reignited.
With Roman, you can get a free online evaluation and ongoing care for ED, all from your own home. A U.S. licensed healthcare professional will work with you to find the best treatment plan. If medication is appropriate, it ships to you free with 2-day shipping. The whole process is straightforward and discreet.
Much like a zombie, it's dead simple. Just go to getroman.com/dead and they'll connect you with an online visit to a doctor so you can take care of your ED without ever leaving home.
Go to getroman.com/dead now to get $15 off your first month.
It's a straightforward and easy way to take care of your ED. getroman.com/dead.
Get started now to save $15 on your first month of treatment.
This episode is brought to you by ABC. Get ready for sparks to fly during the epic Station 19 Grey's Anatomy crossover premiere event. All your burning questions will be answered, like who will be the new captain of Station 19? And now that Meredith survived, what's next for her? Brace yourself for one hell of a return and a surprise guest on Grey's you never saw coming. Don't miss the Station 19 Grey's Anatomy crossover premiere event Thursday, September 30th on ABC, and stream it on Hulu.
Okay, we're back with Scott M. Scott says, as a series viewer that has gone through a range of emotions, including hate watching The Walking Dead, I love that you put together a 1-minute overview for each season in sequence. 11 years later, I have very vague memories of the highlights of season 3 through 8. Cast members were added and then killed off. The governor had heads in jars. Maybe a tank showed up. Turned them as cannibals. They moved north for some reason. You get the point. I'm never going to watch these episodes again, but I think you provided great service by quickly reminding us how the hell we got here. Thanks and keep up the great work. Boy, this reminds me of the project that we briefly considered pulling off, which was going to be just that, like essentially a recap of at some point. I'm not sure. We had a couple of different breakpoints, like after season 6 or after we had dropped our full coverage. And we were going to do just a little like 5-minute kind of recap video for people that just wanted to jump right in and catch up. And we were going to do it like presented in universe style. So it's narrated by, Rick Grimes and Daryl the Wildcat.
Mm-hmm.
And we just ran out of time. We started working on a script and we started looking at how much time we had left. We're like, there's no way we can pull this off. So we killed it. But for you, since you asked so nicely, I'm going to walk through the seasons of The Walking Dead with the help of the Wikipedia article on The Walking Dead seasons. Season 1, when Sheriff's Deputy Rick Grimes of King County, Georgia, wakes from a coma, he discovers the world has been overrun by zombies, quote unquote walkers. After befriending one Morgan Jones, Rick travels alone to Atlanta before finding his son, Lori. Whoa, scratch that. Wife, Lori, son, Carl, and his police partner and best friend Shane Walsh. Best friend Shand Walsh in the woods with other survivors. After being attacked by walkers at night, the whole group travels back to Atlanta to the Centers for Disease Control, or the CDC. People who don't know a fucking thing about nothing, let me tell you. But find the sole remaining scientist has no cure yet for the pandemic. I mean, this is classic. This is peak Walking Dead. It's got, was it Vatos?
Yeah.
The one kind of nursing home gang episode that had the smoocher and the scorpion tattoo and the guy's bald. They had some rough patches, but like atmosphere and dread and like the zombies still being real menacing and our survivors being kind of stumble fucks. Great stuff. Season 2, quote unquote, the wheels start falling off. Rick's group searching for Carol's missing daughter, Sophia. Oh, yeah, remember that. She bolted that first episode.
Oh, yeah.
Takes shelter at a farm run by one Herschel Green. Tensions with Herschel's family worsen after it's discovered is a barn full of walkers including former friends and family members. Rick learns that Shane and Lori were romantically involved while he was in a coma and that Lori is pregnant. Shane and Rick's friendship deteriorates until Rick is forced to kill Shane in self-defense. Commotion attracts walkers to the farm, forcing Rick's group to unlock the unlimited ammo cheat code to all of Herschel's shotguns and allowing his family to evacuate. You know, this had the Glenn Gambit with the well zombie. It had who's the Andrea almost shooting Daryl's head off for no damn good reason. A little bit treadmill action with Herschel and kind of like whether we're going to do kid gloves on him or not, but this is still a solid season. I liked it.
Yeah, it is.
Season 3, 8 months after fleeing the farm, Rick's group, sans Andrea, but with Herschel's family, finds a remote prison where they make their new home after cleaning it of walkers. Lori is killed from an emergency C-section. My savagely torn uterus. And Rick starts to become unhinged and hallucinates. Andrea is rescued by Michonne, and the two discover Woodbury, a fortified town led by a deceitful man known as the Governor, who seeks to destroy the group at the prison. Rick's group launches a raid that destroys Woodbury, but the Governor kills Andrea and escapes. The remaining citizens of Woodbury move on into the prison. I don't remember all the reasons I didn't like this season.
Because it was like Attica on speed, man.
It's like Attica on speed. This is where like Walking Dead had kind of a reputation for like bringing people of color onto their show to kill.
Yes,
like
murder,
it's like all
T-dog.
the worst impulses, but also like you have So I remember that being a big storyline. I remember the Governor just being a little too nice and clean compared to his comic book kind of depravity, and just in general. This should have ended here, but the big problem is we've got a whole other fucking season of the Governor in season 4. Several months after the Governor's attack, a deadly flu virus kills many people in the prison. The Governor finds Martinez, I think. I don't know which one is right, honestly. His former right-hand man, and kills him, taking over his group before leading them into the prison. Rick's group's forced to separate and flee while Herschel and the Governor are killed. The survivors, divided, face off against the undead and make new acquaintances. They all find numerous signs pointing to a safe haven called Terminus. There they reunite, but with Rick's group sans Carol, and they're captured for some unknown purpose. I did not know that was the cliffhanger. I thought that was like a mid-season kind of goal.
The final episode's called A, which we all know what that means.
Oh, right. The A train. It's the first instance of the A boxcars being used.
Abraham shows up in that scene. Abraham and Rosita and Eugene.
Does he? That's when they come in?
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's exciting. Because this is Daryl 1v1ing a tank. I remember that's the highlight of the season. Andrea, it wasn't... no, she gets killed before. Oh, no, this is the one where Carol... gets banished, and this is also the Look at the Flowers Lizzie season.
Yep. This has the Grove.
Yeah. All right. Season 5, the residents of Terminus have become cannibals, led by Lieutenant Tasha Yar. But Carol leads a charge that frees Rick's group. Man, this is where Carol started becoming real fucking cool. No. But also the seeds of her current being. Slaptown. Fucking Slaptown. Some of the group are captured by a group of corrupt cops based out of Grady Memorial Hospital, aka Slaptown. After the group migrates to Virginia, a stranger named Aaron approaches all the way back in season 5,
right?
Inviting them to join the fort. Yeah, they do for no good reason over applesauce. Inviting them to join the fortified community of Alexandria led by Deanna Monroe. They quickly realize the residents are soft as a boiled egg, and they pledge to do what it takes to survive. Rick becomes attracted to Jesse Anderson and discovers she has an abusive husband. Deanna signals Rick to execute the man after he kills her husband as Morgan arrives unexpectedly. Right as Rick just beats the life out of this guy, if I recall right. And he's like, Rick, are you clearing? I've come back with my stick and you're clearing? What's going on? He
says, somebody answer that phone.
Season 6, the residents of Alexandria trust Rick's group to protect the town, a group known as the Wolves. The Wolves use a zombie horde to attack Alexandria, and Deanna and the entire Anderson family, amongst others, are killed. Oh, yeah, this is straight out of the comics. I thought this worked really well. While recovering, Alexander learns of a community called the Hilltop. A man called Jesus invites them to trade supplies with Hilltop if they can help end the threat of the extortionist saviors led by a man named Negan. Though Rick's group decimate one savior outpost, they are later caught by Negan and forced to submit. This is where Abraham gets his brains beat in. Or no.
The end of this season is like a eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Yeah.
Miny, mo. Yeah. Okay. And this is where, like, this is the Cold Rolled Steel era, Slaptown, the cabin episode with Daryl in bed. There's some good ones in here. But woof, we're starting to get into the dregs.
Oh no, Jadis.
Season 6. The residents of Alexandria trust Rick's group to protect the town. The group known as the Wolves used the zombie horde to attack Alexandria and Deanna. Wait,
this is 7, right? You just,
I'm sorry. I just read. Sorry, season 7.
Okay.
Negan, another visible drop in quality. Negan brutally murders Glenn and Abraham. There's a whole lot that went on between those two. Initiating his rule over Alexandria. His actions lead Rick initially to submit, but Michonne persuades him to fight back. They encounter a community called the Scavengers that ask them for help. This is Romulan Sub-Commander Jadis. Carol and Morgan befriend King Ezekiel, the leader of the kingdom. Fuck yeah, King Ezekiel? All the way until 7. Wow, okay.
Really?
While Maggie and Sasha rally the Hilltop.
And also Oceanside is discovered in this episode.
And it's so important it doesn't make the Wikipedia summary.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I mean, that describes Oceanside in a nutshell.
Oceanside? Who? Rosita and Eugene make a bullet to kill Negan. Oh, right. Eugene discovering the secrets of bullet reloading. When the bullet is blocked by Lucille, Negan's baseball bat, Negan forcefully recruits Eugene as a savior. The saviors and turncoat scavengers attack Alexander, but are repelled by Sasha's sacrifice and aid of the kingdom and Hilltop soldiers.
Right. Coffin scene.
This is another thing, man. This season 7 should have just kind of been season 7 and 8 should have been collapsed into each other. It's crazy that there was 32 episodes devoted to this action. Season 8. Rick, Maggie, and Ezekiel rally their communities into war against Negan and the Saviors. Losses are heavy on both sides, and many of the kingdom soldiers are killed. Alexander falls to a savior attack, and Carl is bitten by a walker. Before euthanizing himself, Carl convinces Rick to end the war and restart society anew. Negan attempts to wipe out Rick and his allies in a final battle, but Eugene thwarts his plan by sabotaging the savior's bullets. Ha! Rick then wounds Negan against Maggie's wishes. Negan is spared and imprisoned, ending the war. Again, that's the thing, is like, this shit works if you just read it at a 6-sentence summary level. Right. Because Rick slit Negan's throat ear to fucking ear. Yeah, that's a wound. Sure, that's a wound.
I am realizing I don't remember a damn thing about season 8. I was so tuned out at that point. There's a reason we quit after season 8.
No, season 8 is terrible. Like I said, if you take all of the good stuff in season 7 and 8 and then probably pack it into the good stuff of season 6, you've got a decent 16 episode, a really good 16 episode run. Like probably. I said, I keep coming back that there's a better world we lived in where, Walking Dead and Game of Thrones wrapped up at the same time, and there would have been a pretty amazing debate over which was the better ride. Because Walking Dead kind of stumbled, found its feet. Gimple got a new injection of life into the franchise, whereas the Double D's ran out of original content and started, writing fan fiction. But we don't live in that world. Clearly. No. Clearly, we do not live in the good timeline, so we didn't get that. And I'm going to dispense with 9, 10, 11. I mean, we're right here, man. Yeah. So there you go. That's your catch up. That's the best and worst moments of the Walking Dead.
I mean, 9 and 10 you can sum up as Whisperer War.
Yeah, and I think that's because the Whispers didn't even show up until later in season 8. Like, we had the whole thing wrapping up things with Rick, which I thought that was pretty good. We had the time jump. Then we kind of the way they handled Whisper War was almost like a growing shadow of a threat for a half season and then a full season to deal with them. And it was done. And I like that. I still think that's if they'd have done that with Negan and they'd done that with the governor, We're talking about a completely different show.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Marcos in Seattle. When I watched the introduction of Pope, the leader of the Reapers, I couldn't help seeing a comparison to Colonel Kurtz, the Mad Dog rogue commander played by Marlon Brando in Apocalypse Now. If we follow that comparison, could Daryl be the role of Captain Willard, played by Martin Sheen, who shows up and has the job of taking out the deranged colonel? Think of it, a scene with Pope laying sick in bed, repeating, the horror. Yeah. And he's already got a person on the inside in the form of Leah. So I could see that. It's almost certainly what's going to happen. Now, and if he decapitates them after earning the squad's trust, boy, this could be a real shot in the arm for Alexandria.
Will he do it before Maggie and Negan and all those people are killed? Because I don't know. I'm trying to think how much you need those people at this point. So close to the end of the series. Can you just like murder that entire group and Daryl is the only one who survives that?
Maybe. But what does that do for the story? Because like I'm starting to think, yeah, maybe. But I don't that if they take the Reavers and they add it to Alexandria, I guess the only purpose would be to take a stand against the Commonwealth. I just don't think it's possible for Alexandria to take the Commonwealth unless the Commonwealth is just a giant sham.
Yeah.
Where they're just, they found, a couple dozen sets of paintball armor. Mm-hmm. And with that, they've built the legend of civilization being formed. And they've got a cheap ass ham radio that lures people in. And then, I don't know. But like, if it's anything like what they're positioning themselves as, they're just with the people power and organization and economies of scale, they're going to beat the fuck out of Alexandria.
Maybe the Commonwealth is just a strip mall that they've taken over that had a Radio Shack, a paintball store, and I don't know, a Baskin Robbins or something. Who knows?
Boy, if they have some grow supplies, if they have like some greenhouse supplies, you could make a real good post-apocalyptic run there.
It's true.
I guess if these guys are special forces, it might be interesting to do like a leadership decapitation strike, but like, I don't know what, let's say that they do that. And then like Maggie, Gabriel, and like what, Boston Rob, Aaron are running the Commonwealth now. I don't know that they can. Like, are these guys equipped to run like any kind of, let's like there's 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, however many people are there. I don't know. That's a different job than just kind of like you got a tribe and you're going to try to manage a city.
Yeah, I mean, Maggie already tried this, right? I mean, her hilltop tenure failed. She ran away because she couldn't handle the constitution they were setting up. So
right, yeah.
Bringing her into a leadership position where, I don't see it. I don't see Maggie
where
leading
summary execution is not a punishment point. You can just go to. You can't just string people up and put them in stockades and hold. Yeah, there's laws and shit that you got to follow. There's legacy constitutions and declarations of human rights you got to contend with. What the fuck is this? All right, let's keep moving on with Nicole B. For some reason, I ended up watching the first few minutes of The Talking Dead, opening with Chris's interview with the actor that plays Leah. She slipped a little, saying there's a big part of Leah's storyline that I will just never know. And it stood out to me how much the show relies on actors to make sense of their characters in their own headcanon in order to portray what is written on paper. Leah went from being part of her squad, Reapers, with an adopted son and dog, to being alone with dog in the cottage, to being with Daryl, then being alone, then back to the Reapers. It's an entire emotional and mental journey to her that's all left up to the actor to figure out. I can picture the writer's room patting themselves on the back at how clever they think they are, planting a love interest for Daryl, who ends up being part of some wacky religious cult that's aggressively hunting down Maggie and pitting them all against each other. Just feels so shallow. That's all built around plot points with no regard or understanding of character arcs. Leah from the bonus episode was a sharp, no-nonsense, capable, and intelligent, and independent survivor who was locked in her closet by a single zombie. Let's not forget that. No. With emotional scars of losing a child. In this episode, she was an intelligent, strategic torturer that still cares for Daryl, and nothing we have seen of this character makes me think She would willingly follow a religious zealot and accept watching a friend be burned alive for suspected transgressions with no more emotion than a sad-faced emoji frown.
Yeah, it's tough because I get the impression that that she was already following the religious zealot, right? Like they were forged in the fire way back in the day when this thing started. So I don't know. I mean,
but she left for good reason.
Leah does feel like a different person. The Leah that Daryl knew in the cabin feels like a different person from this one. But yeah, you're right. I don't know. It's weird.
I don't know. It's weird when you deal with stuff like this, when you deal with the religious stuff. I mean, have you ever known like a religious friend at school and they talk a certain way at school and they act a certain way, or maybe at the job, and then you see them when they're interacting with their parents, or like if Father Gabriel's around or whatever, and they transform into a completely different person?
I was definitely not that kid.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I think that some people just don't have experiences with dealing with this kind of ties and the religious stuff. And the fact that, like, you did survive something that the entire group perceived as miraculous against all hope when you're in a church. And if this guy was already kind of like the type that would be a little bit, you know, fundamentalist in his outlook, and you're kind of like, oh, you know, whatever, Pope, he's talking about the Bible and all that, but whatever. And then, like, his shit comes true. And then he's personally responsible for safety and design. I don't know. Like, a lot of people don't have personal experience with that kind of hold that someone can have on you.
Yeah, it's just the weirdest part is the cabin stuff. I don't quite understand why she left. I don't understand who she was when she left, because she seemed very different. And why.
I agree.
And I guess, like, if she was okay living in the cabin by herself and Daryl comes along and it turns her down, essentially, why does she suddenly go back? Why does that trigger her going back to Pope?
It's got to be something interesting, right? Like, we're going to find out. We're going to find out something about the way her... No, it's true.
This is The Walking Dead, after all.
But I feel like there will be something about her son, something that Pope got him killed. Or because the thing is like...
Okay.
I think if you leave and you do a love shack cabin for a couple of years with Daryl, and then this group hunts you down and finds you, like, if you don't get Judased, you're going to get, like, burnt or branded or scarred, and maybe, I don't know, if she takes off her shirt, it's just like a massive burns and stuff on the back of her or whatever. Mm-hmm. But, like, that's what I don't get. But maybe if Pope feels like he was responsible, or he did something that drove her away, like you got her son killed or whatever. Maybe he's, you know, that's, you know, it's kind of like, well, if you forgive me for killing your adopted son, then I'll let you back in the family. And that's a square deal to him.
Yeah, it's like God loves, you know, letting them roam the wilderness for 40 years or whatever. And then, you know, eventually you welcome them back into the fold, right?
Now, I don't know why they can't tell that story in a straight linear fashion. Like, I don't know why. Like, I guess I would have been up for a bonus episode that's literally not have anything to do with our group. Like, if there was just the Daryl episode where Leah's just kind of like a background character, and the very next episode is just all Leah and like how she got to that point, and it ended with, you know, Daryl showing up a dog at her doorstep the first time, finding how she got treed up in her cabin by this fucking zombie. That'd been kind of cool. And then we wouldn't have to do this tortured, you know, half-assed Quentin Tarantino stuff. But the other thing is, like, if they just never get around to talking about that, this is where I can really see your frustration coming out. And we've talked about that all the time, right? Like, you know, we've heard firsthand these actors, like you said, they have to come up with their own fucking motivation and backstory because the writers can't be bothered. So maybe they should get the actors in the room while they're spitballing and breaking episodes, if, you know, because they're coming up with good stuff. Honestly, Gimple, take notes. On your next fucking failed project of show. Let's move on to Robin from Georgia. At first, I was so mad at Walking Dead for giving us again Daryl being captured and tortured, a charismatic cult leader, burning a guy alive in the fire, and Leah. And then you said you were positive on an episode, and I'm like, what? You've got to be kidding. But I didn't know much about the military or cults, and I know only a little bit about the Old Testament Bible. So as I listened to your commentary, I appreciated the episode a lot more, and I didn't see as many cookie cutter repeat plot elements as I did. Well, that's good. I'm glad we're able to help your appreciation of this mediocre to sometimes good show.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't like Leah, though. I didn't like her in the episode season 10C when this supposedly badass warrior morphed into a whiny "stay with me, Daryl" type chick. I think she's manipulative in a Lori sort of way. Oh, that's damning. And I doubt her story of how she came to be living in that cabin.
Yeah.
Most of what I know about the military is they don't leave anyone behind. So what situation would have been so bad that they left her for what appears to be years? I think she went AWOL, but then it's the other question in reverse. What the fuck? How does she get back into their good graces? And for some reason, Pope thinks she only wants Daryl to join them because he's an old boyfriend. So she must have been unreliable in the past. Did they banish her for a while and let her back in? Was Pope also testing her by trapping her in the fire? I felt like she was in on that fire trapping. So it wouldn't have been a very good test. But the other questions are all good. And I think you're onto something, because that's the thing about Lori. It's like, you know, there was a lot of people talking back in the days where Lori was sucking breath about, you know, was she manipulative, or is she a bitch, or the men, or the audience just a bunch of men that hate women. And I think all of those things are actually true, because the thing that drove me crazy about Lori, and I don't think I hate women, is that she would just go like back and forth. Like she would say to Rick, like, you need to be assertive and step up to Shane. And then he would do it, and she'd be, while he was doing it, she'd be, come on, Rick, you got to be that hard on Shane. And then when she's got Shane, she'd be like, it's like almost she like she wanted the two men to kill each other, to try killing each other, and then she'll stick the strong one. And there's just a whole bunch of stupid shit involving Lori. There's a reason we had a burrito festival when she died. So I don't know. But I see what you mean, because here I don't think it's necessary that's what she's doing. It's just that we're caught between these two very interesting characterizations of this woman that don't seem to mesh up. And like, is she just weak for Daryl? Like, I don't know. That's not very satisfying.
No.
Let's move on. We got two more. Seawells. Maybe some people are buying this Reaper Soldier Fortune stuff, but I just can't. I feel nothing for them in comparison to the dread I felt when Negan was blocking off the roads before that arc. Yeah, that was a good, like, you know, Rick and company kicked their asses at the satellite building, and then they're coming back, and then there's all these things block. Well, go this other path. Oh, that block, and just like the scale of the organization, like you didn't even take down a tenth of them. Fucking good. It's fucking good. Or the thunder and lightning in the cemetery after hearing Whisperers talk with the Whispers. Or the Walkers talk with the Whispers. That was also good. They have a lot of work to do to convince me that the Mandarin off of Iron Man 3 is some super badass I should be worried for the group about. This is tracking something like Daryl is going to pretend join, but then with the never failing power of love, he's going to convert Leah to the light side. She's going to die saving him. And honestly, I'm going to be bothered if this is how it rolls, but we shall see. I actually think that's unironically what's going to happen.
There are opportunities for cliches here, certainly.
Yeah. With a side order of about a half dozen or so special forces operations troopers joining the Alexandria crew as a result, too.
Think so? Deconvert them and stick them in Alexandria?
I think they're going to tell this is late stage cult where, you know, and that's, most cults are not stable. If the cults are stable past a generation or two, you know what we call them? Religions.
Mm-hmm.
Because usually there's this intense pressure on the cult leader to continue to defy the expectations of his followers' eyes and ears as regards to his prescriptions of the world and what's going to happen and how only they can be, you know, like eventually he'll run out of promises. They'll get more and more outlandish. He'll make more and more like this is the really, and people will, you know, kind of melt away from him. And I think they're starting to tell that story of Pope. Like we talked about this in the episode, right? Like she said, we haven't lost people for a long time. They lost Judas for sure. This other guy got killed in the line of duty. Pope burnt another guy, and they're kind of panning around the soldiers' faces, and they look like children who are watching one of their brothers and sisters being punished unjustly, except for the punishments being burned alive. So I think we're really late stage cult here, and it's ripe for an overthrow. This is David Koresh at the are you going to stay at the burning compound, or are you going to try to get out? And we'll see. But yeah, there's no fucking. I mean, what Daryl's not gonna die.
No,
that's
he can't.
the one thing.
He literally can't.
I know.
Yeah,
I know. Unless
he's a walker in the spinoff.
That's kind of an amazing idea.
Carol with Daryl on a chain. As
Carol and Daryl and Norman Reedus is just a progressively more rotted zombie over the course of the series.
Norman would totally be down for that. He would love that.
That would shut us the fuck up, Angela. Are you hearing? Like,
sure
we've been bitching about what, and honestly, you didn't screw the situation up. You just, what if, I wonder if she could get away with killing Daryl in the last episode and keeping it from the AMC executives and then what are they going to do? Just didn't have to immediately retcon it, or
was it Gimple who did that, or was it Mazzara who did that? Yeah, early on in
Mazzara kind of maliciously killed off Andrea, right? Was like the story I got.
And then the execs were like kind of pissed about it. She was pissed about it. Yeah, there was.
Yeah. He was eliminating what were perceived loyalists to Darabont.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason AMC had to just pay Frank so much money.
Right. So
much money. It's like Game of Thrones in a fucking network boardroom. Oh my God. All right, let's finish strong here. Dylan Q. Since Maggie and the Reapers took over Meridian, I'm thinking this is the place that Meridian and Maggie and Negan are headed towards. One of the things the show still struggles with is telling its audience where everything is in relation to each other. Thank you. I think Sewell's talked about this last week, of how even if you know the geography, it's fucking nonsense.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know where they're going. I don't know how far away they are. I don't know where this is in relation to the Commonwealth, which seems like important information. Like, this thing could use a Game of Thrones style introduction, except for it's Daryl's little 100-acre woods map and is just painting all over this thing. Yeah, they could, you could have the little pop up Alexandrias, and now it's the windmills all fucked up and on fire. And honestly, we could use that. They
could have used that like 5 seasons ago. I don't think it's too late for that.
Yeah. I find myself constantly lost as to where all these settlements are, which is kind of the key part of the show at this point. There are no highways other than long lines filled with the woods. So I feel like the writers say, we'll just take this road and end up at Hilltop, Alexander, DC, etc. The metro is a nice touch, but then it was just woods again. I agree. I don't know that. And I'm thinking, like, God, how ridiculous would Game of Thrones be if you didn't know where King's Landing was in relation to the Wall, in relation to Winterfell, in relation to, Casterly Rock, like, in relation to like where Dany is over with the Khalasar. It's because like a lot of the tension is knowing when the armies are advancing and how close they're getting, and like, well, is this an initial skirmish, or is this like it'd be so much more tense if I knew that the Reapers or the Reavers were right up against Commonwealth, like they haven't actually made contact, but like, because then the stormtroopers could show up and either help or hinder Mag, but you don't. It's just, and I guess the writers like it because they can just do whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah.
Like, if Commonwealth shows up to save Daryl, well, how are you to know? You haven't seen a map. Fuck you.
Can I ask
they
you?
Want to say
along those lines. So we've talked about Oceanside and how it's just non-existent at this point, right? The writers have just totally forgotten that Oceanside exists.
Yeah, there was the pane, the stained glass pane, and the tree. Yeah,
there was one shot of the dude from Leftovers, John. Whatever his name is from the Leftovers, right?
John from the Leftovers.
Yeah, the guy that Michonne meets on the island.
Murphy.
Yeah, walking through Oceanside, right?
Trying to steal a boat,
like empty, but we don't know why. What's he up to? It's been like 15 episodes, and this dude is just out there. Do I care
he's
anymore?
Out there. He's doing stuff. Isn't he the one that found Connie? You're right. He saw the Oceanside was abandoned, not destroyed, but abandoned, because you can't destroy the fucking Oceanside unless you're global warming. And then it just doesn't get destroyed. It just, moves inland. But he does. Yeah, he finds Connie just as she's collapsing from barely surviving the cave and being.
Are we ever going to get back to that? Is that a thing that the show cares about anymore?
I mean, yeah, like we're there. Yeah, 100%. We got to get back to Connie. We got to get back to this guy. I'm sure they'll be related.
It feels like it's been forever since we've heard anything about that, right?
Because that's the other thing. Do you remember the giant wagons ho west, like mile wide caravan that Michonne left? Like, I would like to know more about that. I wonder if they're saving that for a movie plot.
Yeah, we're never going to hear from Michonne again in this series.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
Because like the only thing I can think of is like Virgil somehow. I mean, they're going to definitely question Virgil about it because he's the last person from this group that saw Michonne. You know, she said on the walk, but they're going to ask him some questions, and I wonder what kind of answers he'll have for him. But he's a great actor. He's a really good actor, and we need we need guys like Kevin Carroll in the home stretch to make us care about these characters. So, but he's also kind of a nutter. Like, there's not much for me to like latch on to his character and the performance. But all right, side note, I bet we're seeing the start of a Maggie Negan power couple. Dylan, I don't think they're just redeeming him as a character. I think this could end with him and Maggie leading the group.
Glenn's rolling over in his shallow, wet grave. Oh my God, no, this can't happen. Or maybe
even doing the deed, but we'll see. No. Where's
Shame
my water
on you.
bottle? I want to spray you like my cat. No, this too horny. You can't. Yeah, no. Like, what's he going to call her in bed? The widow,
right?
Yeah, I mean, no. It's like, I'm gonna wreck your box like I wrecked Glenn's skull. Like, no. It's just not. No, it's not going to. Not even the other way. Maggie doming him, Fim doming him. It's just nothing. I don't know. No. There's very few things I absolutely do not want to see in The Walking Dead, and Maggie sexing up Negan is definitely one of those things.
I mean, this ends in one of two ways. One of them kills
Jesus
the other,
Christ.
or there is a grudging acceptance of each other.
I just now realized, though, that this is now in my head, and every single because like the thing is. In a rom-com, what precedes the protagonist madly and passionately making out? It's always an intense, angry conflict, right? Like,
sure.
I could kill you. Like, that's right where Maggie
your husband with a baseball bat.
And that's where Maggie and Negan are right now. So every scene where they're like nose to nose, like screaming in each other's face,
sure,
the possibility of them just kissing is going to, oh, God damn it, Dylan.
It's not gonna happen.
This is I'm betting pretty low odds on that, but you know, lots of internet points to win on that long odds if you want to put your.
I think it's more likely that
Black
Daryl and Negan hook up. Honestly, like it's more likely for that to happen than for Maggie and him to hook up. Good God.
Yeah. Watching Dead. You got another hot. That's a hot take. That takes scalding. Yeah. I had to get my gloves out to handle that take. If you got another hot one like that, send it to watchingdead@baldmove.com, and we'll most certainly read it. We have got another episode for you coming out this Sunday night, right at 9 p.m. Eastern or thereabouts. When the episode drops on AMC, we'll have date and time coverage thanks to the advanced copy we get through the AMC Plus app. And we're looking forward to that. And again, watchingdead@baldmove.com is how you get in feedback for the next episode of our feedback. Which I should also mention, I forgot to do this at the top of the show. We record every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/baldmove. So you can kind of sometimes get in on the act on the chat even. So watchingdead@baldmove.com. New episode this Sunday. I'm excited for it. We'll see you then. Till then, I'm Aaron.
And I'm Jim.
Later.